I made $17,000 from one $3 digital product, but it didn't happen overnight. And before Etsy had truly changed my life, my mental health wasn't that great and it had been there for a while. Ironically enough, I had just landed my dream job. It came with a great title, great pay, great benefits. It gave me everything I wanted, but I wasn't that happy. I didn't have any hobbies. And I really had no purpose outside of my job. I had nothing that really felt like mine. My entire identity was wrapped up in work. And when I realized that, it kind of freaked me out because it made me think about what my future looked like. And it was pretty much working forever for somebody else. And the only things I could talk about with family and friends were my work accomplishments. And for the first time in my entire life, that wasn't good enough for me anymore. I wanted and needed something of my own, something fun, creative, to give me a really positive outlet, and something that not only gave me a purpose, but also gave me options. I definitely didn't want to put my financial future in the hands of any company, and I didn't want my employer to determine whether or not I could pay my bills. I wanted freedom. I wanted to build something that was mine, and that's why I opened my Etsy shop. But I'll be honest, I had no idea how overwhelming it would be in the beginning. I wasn't quite prepared for the daily self-doubt, and I didn't know how hard it would have to be to show up and be my own cheerleader every day. I also didn't know how lonely it could feel and how much time it took me to learn everything. So I quit my shop twice. But the second time I walked away, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kept seeing other people do it and do it well, and I knew deep down that I could do that too. And what scared me more than the thought of failure itself was regret. So when I came back for the third time, it came back very different. By that time, I had taken about a 7-month break from my digital shop, but during that time, I had made a very important decision. I wasn't going to do this halfway anymore. No more pity parties, no more feeling sorry for myself. I was done letting Etsy defeat me. And I told myself, this is going to work. There are no other options. So I jumped back in, and in about a year, I became a top 1% seller on the platform. It is so wild to think that within about 3 months of me reopening my shop, that a single $3 PNG would not only change my life, but completely change how I approach digital products. And I'm so thankful every day that I didn't give up, because it only takes one listing to change the entire trajectory of your shop. I had made a commitment to myself. I was going to show up and I was going to treat it like a real business. And by month 3, that commitment was working. I was getting orders every day. I was validating low competition niches. I had proof that the strategy I came back with was actually working. So the night that I created this particular design was really like any other night. I was just doing market research, looking for the next niche that I wanted to tap into. Nothing fancy. I had just gotten off of work. I was a little bit tired, but again, I made that commitment to myself to show up every day at my shop. And something I was doing at this point was spending about 20 to 30 minutes on Etsy every day, just scrolling my product type as if I were a customer. I was paying attention to layout patterns, design composition, design elements, and what kept reselling over and over again. But more importantly, I was looking for what felt like a gap I could fill and bring value to the market. That night, I found a gap in a particular niche. And although the niche was unsaturated, it was beginning to grow and get some traction. And instead of copying what was already there and doing well, I brought in another element from a different niche, something already proven, and I blended it with the new niche I had just found. And the result, something better. It was on trend, but different enough to stand out. It was simple, but intentional, and that's why it worked. It wasn't luck. My shop had momentum by this time because I was showing up every day in it. I was getting pretty good views. I was listing pretty much every day. I was doing what I needed to do to give my shop a true chance, because something that people don't really talk about enough, it really isn't about a cute design. It's about being competitive and being better. So 3 days after I added this new design to my shop, somebody bought it. And because I was getting orders every day in my shop, it didn't really shock me too much that that one had sold pretty quickly. But then it sold again and again and again. And within about 2 weeks, it became a bestseller. That one $3 PNG took off. And for the first time in my entire Etsy journey, I was overwhelmed in a good way, because I'm sure you can relate that up until then, Etsy can feel really heavy and confusing. But now I had proof that the hours, the learning, the research, the time I was investing, it all worked. And my shop had officially blown up. And looking back, it wasn't just the design. What made it all work was mindset. I took my ego out of it and I followed the data. I followed the demand, and I quit letting myself quit or play the victim when it got hard. And that right there, that is the difference between those who quit and those who make it. I've seen too many people give up when it gets really hard or challenging, or when they don't get what they want on their timeline. But if there are other people out there supporting their families with their Etsy shop, Why can't that be you? So if you're feeling stuck right now, it might be time to get real with yourself. Do you actually have a plan? What's your why? Why did you even open your shop in the first place? And are you even excited about what you're selling? And don't get me wrong, it is completely okay to take a break. But quitting is the only guaranteed way to confirm you won't get what you want. And Etsy is hard until it isn't though. But if you give up too soon, all you're doing is hurting yourself. While other people keep showing up, keep growing, and keep building something real. And here's another tough truth. What you like doesn't matter. One of the worst things you can do is build a shop around what you like. It isn't about you. Your job is to create what your customer wants. And that's why research trumps everything, because you can have the most perfect, beautiful design in the world, but if nobody wants it or it's oversaturated, you're wasting your time. Etsy is 80% research and strategy and 20% design. You can have hundreds of listings ready to be published, but if you haven't validated the demand, you're just staying busy and you're not building a business. For me, when that one $3 PNG took off, everything changed for me. My drive leveled up and I really began to trust the process even more. It made me sharpen my research and my design skills. It made me double down on staying competitive and getting really good. I no longer doubted my pricing. I never undercut myself, and it paid off, because when your designs are high quality, unique, and different, people will pay. And that's exactly what I help my students with inside of my Done For You niche club. Or if you're ready for a more personalized deep dive 101 strategy, I offer coaching as well. I'll have the link to both my 101 coaching and my Done For You niche club below. And even if you're not ready to sign up for the membership or coaching, I want you to walk away with one thing. You are not a failure. And don't buy into the hype of hearing other people talk about how they opened their shop and it blew up overnight. That is not normal, and that is okay. For the majority of us, it takes a bit longer, but it is totally doable. And every big shop that you see on Etsy, they all begin at 0 too. The only difference, they didn't quit, and I hope you don't either. So let this be your sign. You are not alone. You're not too late. You're not behind. And remember, it only takes one listing to change the entire trajectory of your shop. What if you created that listing today? Something to think about. The video on your screen right over here is all about 9 new digital products that are already blowing up. So I'll catch you over there. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye.